Hey, Alongsiders, let's worship together. Sing mighty and gentle, mighty and gentle, perfect in love. Awesome in wonder, faithful and just. You are Lord, matchless in mercy, wisdom and strength. You can be trusted in all of your ways. Yes, Lord, we're singing out, oh. unto your name, glory and honor unto your name, wisdom and power unto your name. All of the saints sing praise to you, Lord. Praise to your name. Mighty and gentle, mighty and gentle, perfect in love. Awesome in wonder, faithful and just. You are matchless in mercy, wisdom and strength. You can be trusted in all of your ways. Yeah. We're singing out, oh, you are holy, oh, King of glory, oh, all of heaven and earth cry out, Lord, yeah, unto your name, glory and honor unto your name, wisdom and power unto your name. All of the saints sing praise unto your name, glory and honor unto your name, wisdom and power unto your name. All of the saints sing praise, Lord. We sing praise to you, Lord. We sing praise, praise to your name. Your name, your name is worthy of praise. Yeah, Lord, your name is worthy. Your name is worthy of praise. Yes, Lord. We're singing out, oh, you are holy, oh, King of glory, oh, all of heaven and earth cry out unto your name. Yeah, unto your name, glory and honor unto your name, wisdom and power unto your name. All of the saints sing praise. We sing praise to you, Lord. We sing praise to you, Lord. We sing praise, praise to your name. Yeah, praise to your name, Lord. Amen. You are steadfast, you stay faithful. There's no turning in your ways. Your love outlasts every failure. It's always waiting in the wings. You have met me with your presence. I will never be the same. You know how to close the distance that I made. You're after my heart, you're gonna win it. You're after my heart, and I'm gonna give it every piece. every part. You're after it all. You're after my heart, Lord, you are. You're after my heart, Jesus. There's no hide when you're searching. I could never go too far. You are light, the way perfect to lead me back to where you are. Yes, Lord. You have met me with your presence. I will never be the same. You know how to close the distance that I made. You're after my heart, you're gonna win it. You're after my heart, and I'm gonna give it every piece, every part. You're after it all, Lord. You're after my heart. You're after my heart. You're gonna win it. You're after my heart, and I'm gonna give it every piece, every part. You're after it all. You're after my heart, Lord, you're after my heart. You're after my heart, Jesus. Bringing everything good, everything right, everything pure. I'm not gonna fight. Your love is washing over me. Your love is washing over me. Take me out of my head, out of my mind, into my heart. I'm not gonna fight. Your love is washing over me. Your love is washing over me. Bringing everything good, everything right, everything pure. Not gonna fight. Your love is washing over me. Your love is washing over me. Take me out of my head, out of my mind, into my heart. I'm not gonna fight. Your love is washing over me. Your love is washing over me. Yes, Lord. Your love is washing over me. Your love is washing over me. Yeah, your love is washing over me. Your love is washing over me. You're after my heart, you're gonna win it. You're after my heart, and I'm gonna give it every piece, every part. You're after it all. You're after my heart. Yes, you are. After my heart, Jesus. Presence of the living God, it satisfies the depths of my heart. It's all over me. changed when you came, and I'm made free by your glory and grace. I breathe you in, God, 'cause you are thick all around me. I breathe you in, God, 'cause you are thick all around me. The brightness of your love is pure light. It pierces through the darkest of nights, and everything is possible now, for God is here, and God is good. Yes, you are, Lord. I breathe you in, God, 'cause you are thick all around me. I breathe you in, yes, breathe you in, God, 'cause you are thick all around. You are good, God, but you are good to me. For you are good, God, you are good to me. I don't understand, I will choose you. When I don't understand, I will choose you, God. When I don't understand, I will choose to love you, God. For you are good. You are good, God, for you are good to me. Yes, you are. You are good, God, you are good, good to me. For you are good, good God. You are good, good to me. For you are good, good God. For you are good to me. Yes, you are. I breathe you in, God, for you are thick all around me. I breathe you in, God, for you are thick all around me. Yes, Lord.
Hey Alongsiders, Camilla here. I have a few updates for you. We are actually going to be gathering together in person starting on March 7th. Mark your calendars. We are so excited. And I know there's a lot happening and there's changes happening, and that's all good stuff. And it will have been exactly a year since we last met together. So we are watching, and we will have all of the guidelines and everything in place, but we are so excited to be back together again. Ash Wednesday is around the corner, and for the last couple years, we have distributed the elements to do the ash on the forehead, this practice of dying to ourselves that begins our 40 days of Lent. And that is something we would love to send to you for yourself or your family. If you have a couple friends or neighbors you want to gather together to practice this Ash Wednesday. But we need to hear from you. So you need to text ASH to 855-909-1199 before, February 10th. So please text that. We will send it to you, and then you will be able to participate at home together with us. And lastly, I just want to say thank you so much for starting off 2021, or maybe considering starting off 2021 really strongly with continuing to give. There are so many things as we are communicating that go beyond ourselves, and that is our heart as a community, to go into our neighborhoods, to be a part of our city and what is happening here. And one way that you can do that is by giving financially. Another way is by giving yourself. So I just want to encourage you to continue to give financially and of yourself if you can do that. But we thank you so much.
Hey, Alongsiders, Greg here. I get to offer this week's reflection. As you all know, we've been traveling through this series called Whispers of a Different Way. Really, it is us taking a look at the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5 through chapter 7. And we must say, and I think Dr. Nijay even said it best last week, remember the sermon, it's more than a sermon. It's really more like a summons to a different way of life. And so we must listen and heed these words of Jesus, because inside of them, they're full of life-altering ideas and invitations. And so I'm excited to be here once again with you and offering today's reflection. Now, when I was growing up, I'm the middle of two brothers. Now, I don't know if you have siblings or if you have more brothers or sisters, but when I was growing up and when we're all living under the same roof as younger, 5, 6, 10, 11-year-old kids, we would roughhouse. I mean, it would get pretty crazy at times. We'd be boxing. It'd be pretty brutal in moments. And sometimes the parents weren't there because both of them were working, and so sometimes the fights wouldn't stop. And I can remember one particular moment where it got heated, where my older brother and I were really focusing our attention on our little brother. And he was not having it. He was up to here with us, and he started to just get so angry, so upset, so much so that he went into a closet and he found a golf club, and he started chasing us around the house with a golf club, literally chasing us around the kitchen table. And I was honestly just scared. I was scared for my well-being, because if you know my little brother, many of you never met him, but what he was then, he is now. He's just a fierce young man, and now fierce man of his own, but chasing me around that kitchen table. As soon as I came around the kitchen table one last time, I start beelining it down the hallway to get to my bedroom to shut the door. And I did, got to the door, went inside, and I shut the door, and I'm against the door, kind of like this, just breathing pretty heavy. And the next thing I know, out of nowhere, this soccer trophy comes through the door. He had hurled this soccer trophy through the door, and the soccer man on the trophy was sticking through the door right by my head. Now, the importance of the soccer trophy. Now, just a few months earlier, maybe even just a month earlier, I was in a championship soccer game. And my team and the other team, we were tied. And the ref finally decided, hey, next goal wins. Like the draw has been dragged out way too long. And so I received a pass. I was a center forward on my soccer team at this time. And I received the pass and I took the ball, dribbled it up, and I put it in the back of the net, and we were the champions. We won. And so that soccer trophy that is now sticking into my door by my head had significant meaning for me. It was my first winning championship goal, and now the soccer trophy is basically busted. So whatever anger and disposition my little brother had at me, guess what happened? It turned back on him. So then I opened the door, right? My soccer trophy is broken, and I just beelined right to him. And I won't give you all of the details of what came next, but it wasn't pretty. But looking back at that now that I'm at the age that I'm at, and maybe my brother can talk about such things, in some degree, because we were picking on him so much, and he just had enough. He could only take so much from me and my older brother that he just said, I'm just done. And this kind of righteous anger just swirled up in him, and he just came after us. And I think about that story a lot, and I think about how and what happened afterwards. But today I want to talk about anger, mainly because this is part of where Jesus goes in the sermon or the Sermon on the Mount. And anger is a complicated case. Anger is not inherently bad. It's a feeling that seizes us all at different moments. I don't know about you. Maybe you can raise your little emoji hand. But how many people have been angry this week? What has happened in your life that has caused some anger to surface or externalize or whatever it might be? But anger becomes disordered, and this is really important. Anger becomes disordered when it attacks the wrong target or gets out of control. And this is what we have to watch. The fruit of anger is typically external, but the inner life is where anger dwells. And so we have to pay attention really to what's happening inside of us. Now, when we come to this verse within the scripture, what we begin to read is these 6 sections of the sermon, where you will begin to hear these 6 contrasting statements of Jesus. Jesus, in each of these 6 sections, will say, you have heard, but I say to you. You have heard it said, but I say to you. Jesus contrasts the Torah or ancient statements and then gives an explanation of the true intention of what he's saying, and then provides a practical application in all of these 6 sections. So this is the verse that we're going to be focused on today in Matthew chapter 5, verses 21 and 22. It says, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, you shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to a brother or sister, Raka, is answerable to the court. And anyone says, you fool, will be in danger of the fire of hell, or what is known as Gehenna, which was a trash dump outside of the city. Now, Jesus, as you can see, takes up a command from the Jewish tradition, and without overturning it, shows the true intent and the practical reality of the commandment, while really driving home his point with urgency. It is here in this particular passage, Jesus is not abolishing the law against murder, but bringing out its fullest and truest sense. To have a righteousness that surpasses the scribes and Pharisees, as we learned last week in Matthew chapter 5, verse 20, we must face the issue of our inner lives Once again, last week, we invited you to hold a cup, and we talked about how Jesus actually speaks to these religious people of their day, people of faith, saying to them, listen, the inside of the cup needs to be clean, not just the outside. So Jesus, in these next 6 sections, is getting to the inner parts of our lives. Jesus, in this passage, is speaking both to anger. He's also speaking to contempt, which I'll talk about in a moment, and the words that fall from our tongue that do harm to others. Now, I want to touch on this word, raka, R-A-C-A, in this passage, as it is probably a new word for all of us. But this word, or this term, is a very dismissive term of contempt in Jewish culture. And this kind of dismissive contempt or contempt is different from anger. Contempt seeks to diminish the inherent value or worth of another person. And raka it's like a mutilation of a person's dignity or worth, a contempt that harms them or dismisses them or degrades them. Anger is often external. We see it play out, right? But raka, or contempt, is often internal. In our culture today, contempt for others is really all too common. Devaluing those who are different from us. And you can go ahead and line all the differences that we all share. But devaluing those who are different from us. Now, some have said, watch out for the angry person, the externally reactive, raging individual. But it can also be true that you should watch out for the calm person that has contempt running through their veins. Contempt is this attitude, this inner attitude, where maybe it is not necessarily on display, but it is this inner attitude that when you see somebody that sees something different from you, or has a different view from you, or a different idea than you, or a different belief than you, or whatever it might be, or people that you know that you think should have this way and see this way just like you do, or have this belief structure in the way that you do, or have this point of view that you do, and they don't. Internally, you can have this contempt that inside yourself, you can begin to think about them in ways that diminishes who they are, diminishes their dignity, and diminishes the image of God within them. And so this subtle yet calm, hidden contempt is an ugly, ugly, ugly thing that happens within inside the human heart. But Jesus in the beginning of this says, you've heard it said from people long ago, you should not commit a murder. And anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry. Now, I'm going to come back again next week because as I was processing, there's absolutely no way that I can capture everything that I want to share with you in today. But today I want to focus on this question. Is it possible that anger can be righteous or good? Now, some would suggest absolutely yes, and they look at the life of Jesus tossing the tables of the money changers in the temple, saying that's really good and justified anger. Can good anger be a passion for justice? Can we take the anger when we see injustice in the world and the anger that we feel when we see that or when we experience that, can we turn that anger towards righting the wrongs that we have felt or that we see? I've heard it said that great love is the root of great anger. Great love is the root of great anger, and I'm pretty sure for some of you that could be debatable. But nonetheless, I want to look at one particular story in Mark's gospel through the life of Jesus. And it's found in Mark chapter 3. And I want to take some time, it's only 6 quick verses, verses 1 through 6, and I want to just look at it. It says this. Another time, Jesus went into the synagogue, and a man with a shriveled hand was there. And some of them were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus, so they watched him closely to see if he would heal this man on the Sabbath. It says that Jesus said to the man with the shriveled hand, "Stand up in front of everyone." And then Jesus asked them, "Which is lawful on the Sabbath, to do good or to do evil, to save life or to kill?" but they remained silent. He looked around at them in anger and deeply distressed at their stubborn hearts. He said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He stretched it out, and his hand was completely restored. Then the Pharisees went out and began to plot with the Herodians how they might kill Jesus. How they might kill Jesus. It seems in this passage that Jesus responds out of anger as well as grief over the stubbornness of the onlookers' hearts. Is he grieved at their lack of love? Is he angry at their hard-heartedness? Angry that they are only concerned about their rule-keeping and not his restoration? Angry that they value their maintenance to laws and order and maybe their own reputation and status instead of this man's healing and flourishing? Is this an example of self-interest over justice and compassion? Are the onlookers not moved by this man's condition? They must have known that with a functioning hand, this man could receive dignity and respect. And what I mean by that is that he would be able to work. He would lose the stigma of this ailment and how some people interpret that stigma as divine disapproval. This man would have the opportunity in this life to flourish like maybe every other man. Is Jesus then angry because he loves the man with the shriveled hand? Or is Jesus angry because he also loves the Pharisees and he's frustrated at the stubbornness of their hearts, that they won't let God's love reach them and change them and open them up to see the condition of the man and the possibility of who the man could be if he himself experienced healing and restoration? So how does Jesus respond in this moment? It says he is angry. He is angry over the onlookers' silence, how they just sat there in silence. He was grieved over their hard-heartedness, their stubbornness of heart. But Jesus doesn't lash out at them with words. He does not retaliate. Jesus does no harm in this moment. Instead, he backs down and simply heals the man. He restores the man to wholeness. And he does it in front of them. He does it right in front of them. I imagine that if these onlookers, these people that lead others to faith, were trying to set him up to accuse him, and that he restores this man in the center of this gathering, and they already have this issue, already this contempt towards Jesus, this moment of this man's healing and restoration and Jesus doing that on the Sabbath, the law of that which should be a day of rest, and all of the things that Jewish people understand, I can only imagine how much this incited and even ignited this hidden contempt. It just began to rage, probably this, you could imagine the physical discomfort and the twitching of the eyes and looking at one another, all feeling what they were feeling in that moment as Jesus was centered and focused on healing that man, and probably sad over the fact that somehow, for some reason, the laws and the traditions got in the way of love and compassion. He does it right in front of them. And it brings a contrast. It brings a contrast. As I said in the beginning, as it was said, but I say. And in this moment, it was one of these contrasts. It is said that we shouldn't do this on the Sabbath, but Jesus says in his actions, but I say, stretch out your hand. Stretch out whatever is shriveled in your life. And I need some of you to be hearing this right now, because maybe this is for you. right? This is something for you to respond to. In the same way that Jesus told this man that has this ailment in his physical person, hey, stretch out your hand, stretch out whatever is shriveled in your life. And I'm going to say this to you. Stretch out your shriveled confidence. Stretch out your shriveled self-esteem. Stretch out your shriveled faith. Stretch out your shriveled ability to forgive. Your shriveled patience. Your shriveled sobriety. Your shriveled compassion. Your shriveled prayer life. Your shriveled generosity. Your shriveled relationship. Your shriveled dreams. Your shriveled grace. Your shriveled sense of God's enjoyment of you. Stretch it out and allow God to begin to restore those places in you that have been minimized and have been kept hidden, and you've been wrestling with them by yourself and for some time. Stretch out whatever it is so that he might begin to speak to it and begin to heal and restore whatever needs to be healed and restored in you. But it does require you to stand up in the middle and step out and show your shriveled self, right? You've got to also do the work. You've got to participate sometimes. You got to show your shriveled self so he can begin to touch whatever it is that you need restored. Do you hear me today? Wherever you're at, are you hearing me today? What I'm saying is, don't remain silent like the onlookers that were just sitting there indignant. No, you got to stand up and you got to move. And when you move, you got to put out your hand. You got to stretch yourself out, right? Stretch it out in faith, believing that God is going to meet you in that place, right? Stretch it out. Do whatever you got to do. Don't remain silent like the onlookers. Lift your voice and pray. Not my will, but yours be done, God. Not my will, but yours, because sometimes if it's our will, we'll keep our shriveled self, whatever it is, in our pockets, or we'll put it behind our back. We'll keep it hidden away from others or even from ourselves. Oh, it's not there. It's not bothering me. This is not a problem for me. This is not limiting me. But yes, it is. And so, not my will, but yours be done. Yours be done. If you're calling me to go ahead and step out and be the center of it all and show this part of my life and reveal this part of my life. It's vulnerable. I know it's not easy. I know, right? You're putting yourself out there, but God is the God that loves. God is the God that restores. God, the God that heals, right? We've got to participate in that, because it would seem to me that in this passage, Jesus has this righteous anger, and the righteous anger is not about retribution. Righteous anger is about restoration. It's about restoration. God is the God that restores. God is the God that restores. God is the God that restores. It was said, but I say. Other people may say it, but this is what I say. Maybe you've been hearing internal dialogue that keeps you shut down or stuck, but you got to listen to what he says. And he says, time to stretch it out. Time to stretch it out. Let it be seen. Let it be known for what it is. No matter how broken and embarrassed you may be, stretch it out and let the restoration begin. So we're going to move into a time of engagement for action, for you to consider the very things you've just heard. Jesus asked this man in full view of everyone present, stretch out your hand. So what is shriveled in your life? And what would Jesus ask you to stretch? What would Jesus ask you to stretch? And what is shriveled in your life? For the next 3 minutes, don't run away from this moment. This moment might be for you to sit there. If you're by yourself, process that prayerfully. Bring yourself, maybe put out your hands and say, this is me. You know me. You see me as I am. And I'm bringing myself completely in this moment. If you're with other people and you feel safe enough in that place, do the same with each other. There is healing in community if it's safe community. All right? So just take these next 3 minutes and engage in these ways. Hey, welcome back, everybody. As always, I hope and pray that these moments of engagement are not lost on you. I really hope the opportunities for you leaned into whatever the Holy Spirit is bringing to the surface of your life. And if you're with other people, that you can talk about whatever God is sharing and speaking with you. We're about to move into the Eucharist to break bread. So if you don't have the elements and you want to get up and get the elements, I would encourage you to do so. But before we get there, I just wanted to remind everybody that we are in this collective response called Salt and Light. Several weeks ago, I talked about it, that we want to, in these very two distinct ways, invite you, this community and friends, to be salt and light. First way is that we invite you to give a gift of $35, which goes above your normal giving. And that will go directly to gift boxes that we're creating, that will go directly to, 150 of them, by the way, that will go directly to nurses and doctors on the COVID floor and the ICU unit of Providence Gleason, the hospital right up the street. And we're doing that because these doctors and these nurses have given so much of their life to literally preserve life and to be with people in really challenging and dark seasons. So these 150 boxes are going to be given as a gift. Now we're going to tell you what's inside those boxes here, hopefully in the next week or two, and then we will get ready to ship those over to there with the help of our friends across the street, Levi and Janan. But the second piece to Salt and Light is that you can be salt and light in your neighborhood by participating in the Yellow Bag Initiative, being a representation of the Yellow Bag in your neighborhood, inviting your neighbors to participate by taking in a bag into their home, and for that week, getting the items that are on a card and the information in the bag, dropping those items in that bag, sticking it on the doorstep at the day that you choose, and that you would go around and pick up those items. You would bring them down here so they can be redistributed through our UMES food pantry to take care of those, our friends and guests that are food insecure. That can be an ongoing rhythm for your family as well as your neighborhood. You can be that Yellow Bag representative or hub in your neighborhood. So Salt and Light, those are the two opportunities. So I'm really hoping that you can do that. You can participate now by texting Salt and Light, A-N-D, Light, to 855-909-1199. If you do that, you'll receive a form, and you can either gift that $35 gift, or you can say, yeah, hey, sign me up as a Yellow Bag hub in my neighborhood. I'd love to do that with some of my neighbors. So go ahead and text right now. Grab whatever you need to grab and text away and participate so we can be salt and light collectively into those areas. Camilla mentioned that we are coming back March 7th. We're going to open up the building, and we're going to follow, obviously, the guidelines that are required of us to follow. But I wanted to let everybody know that day is going to be a live gathering. Now, these moments right now are pre-recorded. The secret's out. But this is going to be a live gathering. So for everybody that's looking and watching, and we'll watch online on March 7th, everything will be live. Everybody here and you all simultaneously will be live. There will be no 8 a.m. gathering that day. There will only be a 10 a.m. gathering on March 7th. And the reason being is this, because that day, that Sunday, is not only just about the fact that we're coming back in person and continuing online, but we're going to be looking into our future. I'm going to be sharing some important changes that are coming to us, and we're going to give thanks collectively. So I'm encouraging you, online or in person, you don't want to miss it. We'll open up the registration for online that week of March 7th, and more information about that will be coming. But that would be a very, very important Sunday moment for us as we continue to move forward into 2021. All of those that are part of our older community, known as the Forerunners, we're going to be inviting you back on March 17th, that Wednesday. And so I know that probably you've been called or contacted about that, but we wanted to let you know in case you had not. March 17th, we're going to be meeting at 10 o'clock on that Wednesday, and then seeing how we go from there. So just mark that down on your schedule. Enjoy your Eucharist moment. Break the bread. Do so with this in mind. As you go to the table today, go with the angry, loving words of Jesus. Stretch out yourself. Stretch out yourself. May you go in peace. May the song that's being sung be sung over you. I love you, and we'll see you soon. God be with you.
come to earth as it is in heaven. Let heaven come. Let heaven come. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come quickly. Your will be done the same on earth as it is in heaven. Let heaven come to earth as it is in heaven. Let heaven come. Let heaven come. Let heaven come. Let heaven come. For yours is the kingdom, and yours is the power, yours is the glory forever. Amen. Yours is the kingdom, yours is the power, yours is the glory.